Something good gonna happen in this year, and I am grateful that I made it here. Yesterday's gone and a new day has appeared, and I am grateful that I made it here. Blessings gonna find me here, oh yeah. Favor gonna find me here, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, say money gonna find me, blessings gonna find me, oh na 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 na. Something good gonna.
Good evening, everybody. It is 7:00 on a good old Sunday night, and I have a really, really good show that I don't even want to call it a show. I just have a good conversation that I'm going to have with the beautiful young lady that I just met on my TikTok. I've been looking forward to this conversation for about a week since we talked about it. And again, I think that this is going to be a really good conversation. I think it's going to help some people. I think it's going to uplift some people, but I also think it's going to it may shock some people. So I'm going to give a trigger warning now. She is probably going to give you a trigger warning also. But I think it's important that, excuse me, that we have these conversations, because if we don't have these conversations, these things are doomed to happen again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a slight introduction for this gorgeous young lady, and then I'm going to bring her up in just about 10 minutes. So let me do this. I'm going to read her introduction in just a minute. She's in I call it the waiting room, waiting on us very patiently. But I wanted to, again, give a trigger warning because the subject is adult, for one. And then I thought about using the word adult because when a lot of things, trauma happen to young women or young men, they're not adults. And so the conversation should be for adults. But a lot of times children who have been through trauma and who have been through things, they're not adults, but they know what you're talking about. They've been through what you're talking about. And isn't that scary? Is that not scary? And so we want to have these conversations, not for clicks, not for likes, not for followers, not for shock value. We want to have these conversations because we want this stuff to stop. We want people to stop having family reunions and having to give their children a 15-minute speech about why they shouldn't go to the back room or to the bathroom by themselves. We want it to stop for people or women having children with men, and they have these dysfunctional things going on in their family. We want men to stop marrying women who have been traumatized and don't tell them because they think that the man can't handle it. And so then they have daughters or sons, and the man is trying to figure out why you always angry, why you so strict. So these conversations are, in my eyes, to prevent these things from happening again, so that you'll see the signs, and so that when your child comes to you with this particular issue or any issue that traumatizes them, that you would believe them. Okay. And so I looked up the word trauma, and trauma means, and I looked at the definition, and it was weird to me because it was like 2 or 3 words, but I mean, listen, this is what it is. So, trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. It's when we experience very stressful, frightening, or distressing events that are difficult to cope with or out of our control. there are three main types of trauma, but under those three main types of trauma, you have different categories. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on, because I don't know if I can do that while I'm on here, but I'm going to try. Hold on a second. I got your message. So there are three main types of trauma. They are, I may have to do it through my phone. They are acute trauma, chronic trauma, and hold on. Somebody else's live is coming on. Hold on a second. I don't know how to do that because I don't know how my live looks. Oh, okay, I see it. And you got to send me another message. I don't think nobody's on here yet. What do you want me to do? Are you where are you not seeing me? Put it in the chat. Where are you not seeing me? Where are you not seeing me? Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't have. I don't have anybody on here yet. I'm gonna have to. I'm just gonna have to. Yeah, it doesn't have. I don't have anybody on here yet. I'm gonna have to. Edit this out. I'm just gonna have to. Yeah, it doesn't have. I don't have anybody on here yet. I'm gonna have to. Edit this out. Hold on. I think I know what you're trying to tell me to do. Let me look and see what the name of it is. Edit this out. Hold on. I think I know what you're trying to tell me to do. Oh, you can't see me on the live? I can see me on my live. Hold on. Oh, you can't see me on the live? I can see me on my live. Hold on. It's Mimi. Oh, you can't see me on the live? I can see me on my live. Hold on. It's Mimi. I can see me on the live. I can see me on my live. Hold on. It's Mimi. Can you see me now? I just sent you a @share thing. Because I'm on my page. I'm looking at it. Are we friends? I wish I had did this before because I don't Okay, that's why then. It's not letting me do it. I thought we were friends already. Okay, you should be seeing me in a minute because I just confirmed. Yes, once I pull you up, you'll be able to see yourself on my live stream. Once I pull you up, that's once I pull you up, you'll be able to see yourself on my live stream. Because you'll be coming through my YouTube. So we're having a little bit of and so like I was explaining earlier, once you because you don't have it doesn't mean anything. Once I pull you up on here, you'll be able to be seen on my Facebook page and on here because it's coming through me and it's not coming through you. But I understand that you want them to be able to see you on your live stream. I don't know how we're going to be able to do that. Okay. So once I pull you up, I'll be able to see you on that. And then I'll just, edit all of this part out. So he was talking about trauma. Okay. So there are three main types of trauma. There's acute trauma, there's chronic trauma, and then there's complex trauma. Acute trauma is trauma like anything that is violent or a sexual assault, a crime or an accident, or a suicide attempt. Acute trauma results from one single incident. Okay. Then chronic trauma is something that is repeated and prolonged, such as domestic violence and other types of abuse. Then there's complex trauma. Exposure to varied and multiple traumatic events, often of an invasive and interpersonal nature. And acute trauma and complex trauma, I think that complex trauma and chronic trauma are the traumas that we're going to deal with tonight, because I think that it is something that excuse me, that you deal with all of your life. You're never cured. You're never healed completely. I'm not saying God can't heal you from it. I'm not talking about that. Your body will heal. Your mind might be able to start covering it over it, but you never forget it because you're human. And so I think chronic and complex trauma are the toughest traumas to get over. But you do get over it. And then you're going to be able to do what this young lady is going to be able to do. And that she's going to don on a superhero cape and she's going to become one of my favorite people. So I got one more thing, and then I'm going to bring her and I'm going to read her very short bio, which probably does not even throw the smallest rock into the ripple of the awesomeness of this person. So according to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, trauma, no matter what type, has long-term effects. It has effects on your mental, physical, emotional well-being, and your social and your spiritual well-being. And because you're dealing with all of these things all at one time, that's why you feel like you're crazy, like you just it's like you'll never be able to get over it. Like everything is my trigger. And because it's so many levels of it that you feel like you're not going to be able to hurdle over those levels. But I'm about to introduce you to somebody who I met through my TikTok, who has learned how to circumvent the things that has happened to her and learn how to be a good mother. She's learned how to love her own mother. And she's learned how to have, and she's also learned how to let somebody love her after all that she's been through. Okay. Her name is Maisha Marshall. She is a single mother of 5. She resides in Maryland, but she was born in Philadelphia on October the 29th, 1990. She was born to Lloyd and Antoinette Ellis. It's Antoinette Marshall and Lloyd Ellis, and she has 7 siblings on her mother's side, and she has a bonus brother on her dad's side, and I admire her for even putting that in there. So we're going to bring her up. We call her Mimi, but on good days, we call her MIMI because she just worth all the initials. We just got to spell it out. Tell everybody hi, Mimi.
Hi. Hello.
So we got Mimi doing this StreamYard thing, and so I'm still trying to figure it out, and Mimi just walking in the door. So I know you can't do it and we can see it, but just put your hands together and give Mimi a hand, yay! Because she has the Hey, Tina Bowles, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us. And continue to comment. I can see your comments. Continue to comment. This is a conversation, like I said. But first, what we're going to do is I'm going to let Mimi take over my podcast, and I'm going to let her just tell her story, and then I'll come in if I need to, and just to see if maybe the spirit wants her to elaborate on some things. So be respectful and listen, because we all have things that we need to learn. Okay, Mimi, the floor is yours, darling.
Okay, so I decided to just get on here and tell my story because I realized that it's a lot of people that suffer in silence. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like you become an adult and you kind of have this defense mechanism against trauma. So certain traumas that you go through, you try to push it out of your head. So for years, I just tried to tell myself that, okay, nothing can happen to me again. You know, people did the best they could at the time. But then, like, it seemed like the older I got, the more the trauma just kept coming. Like, it felt like it was going to consume me. So last year, I just went on like this, not really a sabbatical, but I just felt the need to find out where the person that traumatized me was. I was just like, okay, I'm back in Maryland. It's where it happened at. Can this person hurt me? What if I saw him when I was walking down the street? Would he recognize me? So I won't say that I was in fear for my life or anything, because like I said, you know, it happened when I was younger. He was like in his 30s. I was 7. And like now I know he's way older, but something in me just wanted this man to see me so I could show him, like, look at me. Look at me now. You tried to break me. You tried to hurt me. You tried to kill me, but I'm still standing. And it actually, what I went through as a kid, it actually made me guard my children even closer. Like, I was told over the years, you don't let your kids go outside. You don't let your kids go to parties. You don't let them go to family members' houses. You don't let your kids do nothing. Your kids are going to resent you. So, like, I want to say back in 2022 is when I started letting my kids actually be kids. But nobody understood why I was so guarded with my heart, with my children. My children don't meet different men. They don't, you know, they can't say that they've met everybody that I've ever dated or, you know, had sexual interactions with. Like, what I went through as a kid, I never want anybody to go through that. And I suffered in silence. And my reason for coming out is I always told my mom that I was going to clear her name. So I don't know if you want me to go into detail now or you want to ask questions about what happened.
I muted my mic so you wouldn't keep hearing me say "girl, yes" or "mm-hmm." So no, I want you to to go at whatever pace you want to go at. I have questions on the side. You better
Okay.
say so, Tina. And I'm going out. If I need to come in, I'll just come in. But it's yours. This is you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like I'm doing this for every adult that didn't heal the child in them. Like, I feel like I'm doing this for everybody that things happen in your family and it's swept under the rug, and then you can't talk about it, because if you talk about it, somebody's gonna look bad, somebody's gonna look at you differently, somebody's gonna say you're lying. I was told when this happened to me that I was lying. Like, they put me, I don't remember if they put me on the witness stand. I think they took statements. It was so many years ago, but I believe they did put me on the stand, and they told me that I didn't have to look at him. But his lawyers, as a kid, they were trying to tell me that I was lying, trying to get him off. And I'm like, I'm this little Black girl, precious. I wasn't innocent by any means, but 7 years old, come on now. What can you really do to harm somebody at 7 years old? I misspelled a word and this man went ballistic. And it caused me to, one, I don't do the misspelling of words anymore. I can read very well. I can enunciate. I know how to talk, but every now and then I might throw a little slang in there. But I know how to put on my professional voice and do what I need to do. So yes, what he did, it hurt because I was a kid. I felt like I didn't deserve it, but it actually just prepared me for when I became a mom. The things I needed to look out for. I can't say that my mom needed to look out for anything, because how could she? I've always been the type of person to put on a mask. And even if I'm hurting, I'm not going to tell you that I'm hurting. But last year I talked to my mom and I told her, I was like, Mom, I can't shake it. It hurts. Like, I think after everything happened, I didn't really get a chance to heal, because they had me on medicines for one. It kept me doped up. I guess that was a way to cope and not think about everything that happened to me. I went to a therapist. I'll never forget. Her name was Miss Nancy. And she used to make me hot chocolate. And she told me whenever I thought about the bad man, draw him, ball up the picture, and throw it in the furnace. I mean, how great was that, to think of the person that hurt you burning in a fiery furnace? I loved it. But it only healed me for a moment. As I got older, I started having dreams. I would walk past people and think it was him. I would hear him laughing in my head. I would see the van again. I would see my mom trying to protect me once she found out. My mom didn't know what was going on though. And that's the thing. Like, my mom was my saving grace. She was the person that I should have went to, but I didn't. And for her to serve time for something she knew nothing about, but I was a kid that loved her mom. So of course the courts weren't going to believe that my mom knew nothing about it. Because how could you live in a place with a man and your own child and you not know? How did you not see the signs? How could you not know? How you didn't see the marks? You never saw your daughter crying. It wasn't until the school called my mom and told my mom that I had missed so many days that they were ready to withdraw me. They didn't want me in school no more because I wasn't going. This man would take my mom to work, pretend he was taking me to school, he worked on houses. He would take me to one of his houses in the basement, and he would beat the living crap out of me with belts. But to the point where he would leave marks. But again, I'm 7 years old. I didn't want my mom watching me. I'm 7. I know what I'm doing. I got this, Mom. So I didn't show her anything. Whenever we would go pick her up, she said, how was school? School was great. What did you learn? I learned how to spell play. I was 7 years old. And you know the word television? Do you know the short letters for it? TV? Someone asked me how to spell TV, and I couldn't spell TV, even though I kept saying the letters T and V. It still didn't register to my brain that I was trying to spell the short end of television. I didn't know that. I was going to after school, what is it, like aftercare? That's what it's called. And it was a neighbor across the hall. And I felt like that lady was my saving grace. I loved going to her. After he was done whooping the crap out of me, he'd take me across the hall to my neighbor, and I didn't say nothing to her because I didn't want my mom to become unalived, and I didn't want me to be unalived just by me talking about the abuse. That man whipped me with belts, branches, his hand. He threw me up against the wall. My nose was bleeding, and I don't know if that was from a brain bleed or what. I just know he threw me up against the wall one day, and my nose just started trickling blood. My mom wasn't there. My mom worked. My mom had a job. So I felt like it really was unfair for people to blame my mother. What can you blame a single Black mother for doing? You blame her for working? Now, if she would have been on welfare, then you would have said she was trying to beat the system. You would have said that, oh, she should be working. She was working. She was working when all of this happened. She never knew about anything until the day of. And I thank God for that person seeing that man drag my bloody, bound body from a van. It was a man that saw him, and that's what stopped the abuse. Other than that, and then my mom was being abused behind closed doors, and she was taking it. And I didn't find out this until I got older. She was taking the abuse because she felt like if he beat on her, he wouldn't beat on me. So she felt like, okay, I'm going to let this man beat the crap out of me because, for one, I'm scared. I'm not strong enough to leave. And I felt like she wasn't strong enough to leave. And it wasn't until I got older and I started having children, and my children's fathers were abusive towards me, and I felt what my mom felt. And I was like, well, I went through this as a kid. So getting punched in the face, getting beat half to death, that's nothing. I'm strong. My mind conformed to this, oh, you could beat the crap out of me, but God not going to let me die. Because why would he let his strongest soldier die? Why would he do that? I went through enough. I felt like nothing could be as bad as what I went through as a kid. So they used to call me January's child because my name was in the paper, but nobody recognized me as Maisha Marshall. They recognized me as January's child. It happened January 1998. So a little bit of a backstory. My mom met this man, I want to say October 1997, and they dated. And when I first saw him, I said, Mom, I don't like him. Something about him. He rubbed me the wrong way. It's just the way he was smiling. It was like a devious smile on his face when he met me. He had came with my mom to pick me up from, I used to go to the, I don't know if it's called the YMCA or the YWCA. It was an after school program. And I used to go there. And normally my mom would pick me up in like a cab or get on the bus and come get me. And this particular time she came with him, and he picked us up and took us to one of his houses. And his way of trying to get me to like him was to show me a garage full of what I call junk. It was a bunch of trinkets and stuff. And I'll never forget. It was around my birthday. It was right before my birthday. And my mom said, hey, Maisha, this is Mr. Prince. She introduced us. And I was looking hesitant, But I was like, you know what? Maybe this man gonna make my mom happy. But then I looked at my mom and I pulled her to the side and I said, Mom, I don't like him. I don't. And maybe when you're a kid and you're saying that to your parent, we had just met. So it's not like the man touched me. It's not like he whooped me. It's not like he did anything. I always could feel people's auras, and his vibe was just completely off. And I was like, Mom, I don't like him. And her hearing that was just like, okay, she was already in a relationship before she met him. So her hearing me not liking him, she probably thought as a parent, okay, she don't like him because she ended up, liking the other guy, which would be me. I loved the man that my mom was with before. I didn't like the man that she was trying to introduce me to. I felt like, Mom, why are you breaking up the family like this? Even though later on, she told me why she broke up with the man that she previously dated. It's because he cheated. But me being 7 years old, my mom wasn't going to come to me and say, hey, he cheated on me, so we can't have this family dynamic duo anymore because it's over with. This man just, it was off. It was just something really off about him. So moving forward, we started staying with him. Still did not like him. It still rubbed me the wrong way. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So it's just, I don't know, that man, I just didn't like him. He just always rubbed me the wrong way. So then, like, over time, then that's when the abuse started. And again, like I said, my mom was getting abused too, but I didn't know she was getting abused. I thought I was the only one.
Okay, so let's back up and put let's back up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have a story that spans a long period of time, you're trying to mash it all up into that, but I don't want you to do that.
Okay.
I want you to so let me now that you done got it started,
Mm-hmm.
now I know what to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I was waiting on.
Okay.
I wanted to say, T-Nab, thank you for being here. Sanchez is in the comments. Thank y'all for being here. If you have any questions, just put it in the comments. She can't see them, I don't think, but I'll put them in the I'll put them up on the screen, and we'll read them from there. Please ask questions. And this is a discussion just like we have when we're on TikTok. Okay, this is not a monologue. This is a discussion. So let's go back to defense mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And defense mechanism, because it's hard to explain or understand how you defend something after it's over.
Mm-hmm. And
so when you talk about trauma that lasts, and we one of the definitions that we gave for trauma was hold on, I don't want to be wrong, was chronic, and it is a repeated and prolonged it's a repeated and prolonged and stressful incident, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we talking about defense mechanisms, what as an adult do we do to remove the stain or thoughts of that trauma? Because what are we defending ourselves from? Because we're no longer in that situation, and that person is no longer in our life. I got you. I'm gonna do your question next. I'm gonna leave it right up there so I can see it. So what are we defending ourselves from, first of all, and who are we defending ourselves against? See, you better answer it, because I have no answer. I have no answer.
I would say you're defending yourself against your mind, because
Oh, wow.
when trauma happens to you as a kid or adult, whatever, you have to heal that child within you.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I never healed.
Right.
I kept telling myself I was okay. I kept saying, I'm okay. I got this. Every time something happened, I'm okay. I got this, until I wasn't okay.
Yeah. Sanchez asks, was she the only one? Was she the only sibling that got abused?
Yes. My other siblings were living with their dad. I was the only one that lived with my mom at the time.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
my mom, like I said, she was in a relationship and her boyfriend at the time cheated on her. So once he cheated, we were living with him. Like my mom and him had a place together, but it was no more after that. My mom was wanting, listen, my mom didn't believe in, she ain't God. She didn't believe in first, second, third chances back then. One chance to show me who you are, and I'm done.
Okay, so with you being the only one being abused, and it was 7 of y'all, so it's 6 other, how did that alienate you from them back then? Not now, because we're gonna get to the present.
I know. Back then, when that happened to me, I got separated from everybody. Okay. Nobody in my family could get me. Nobody. My dad tried, my aunt tried, cousins, people that we hadn't seen in years. They didn't want me in the system. I went in the system. I was away from my siblings.
And why was that?
Because
that's unusual.
Because my mom had they found her guilty of neglect, because yeah.
And so they wouldn't put you with her. Okay, I got you. I got you.
They wouldn't even put me with my dad on my dad's side of the family. Nobody could get me, because once you ask the questions, I'll go into detail what actually happened, and you guys will be able to see why nobody could get me.
Okay, well you can go ahead with that now.
Okay, so it happened January 1998. Now, back up before January 1998, like I said, he used to do things that were abusive. Like the man used to whip me with branches, belts. So when people play with me, if anybody pull out a belt or anything, I instantly clam up, or I get real defensive, because I don't play like that. Mm-hmm. I don't like to play fight and all that extra stuff, because it triggers me. Mm-hmm. So, moving back from January 1998, I'm gonna kind of ease into it, but I gotta tell you guys how everything went.
Okay, go ahead.
1997, that was a year that, like I said, we ended up meeting. We met him. Well, I met him 1997. The abuse didn't start right away. He kind of eased his way into it. He wanted to see what type of child I was. Like if I was the type of child to be able to go back and tell something, if I was going to tell family members. He alienated us and not alienated, he isolated us from our family. He wouldn't allow my mom to go to church no more. My mom couldn't hardly do nothing. But when my mom did go to church, we weren't allowed to sit with the normal people we would sit with. So nobody knew what was going on, because he wouldn't allow it. It was no speaking. And what was so crazy was that 2 of his siblings were police officers. And my mom told me years later that they tried to tell him, keep your hands off that young lady. The young lady would have been her, not me, because nobody knew he was abusing me. Only his stepmom, who was Caucasian, saw the abuse that he was doing to me, but she was scared of his father and him. So she would just put me in the bathtub, and the bathtub would fill up with red like it was Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Did he have his own kids?
Yes.
Okay.
He did have kids. One named Amber, and I can't remember the other one, but yeah, he had 2 kids. And that's the thing. When I lost my mind last year and started thinking about the trauma, and I was like, look, I called my mom one day. I was like, Mom, I have to get my story out. I have to. Because if I don't get it out, I can't heal. And she was like, well, you could go ahead and, tell the story. Go ahead. But at first she was worried, because it's bringing everything back up. Everything is resurfacing.
Right.
But I feel like it was a carpet. When you tell your kids to clean up, they sweep everything under the carpet. By the time you move that carpet out the way, all this dust goes in your face. So that's what the story is. It's everything that was swept up under the rug and it's coming out. So yes, he had his own kids, and I looked for him last year. I'm real big on looking up people stuff. So I looked for him, I found him, and I looked for his 2 kids. And I don't know if I found them or not. I wasn't trying to attack them because they were kids when whatever happened to me. I just wanted to know how they were doing. Because we were friends. His kids and I, we used to play together. He had 2 girls. We used to play together. And I only remember Amber because her name was Common. I can't remember the other one's name, but yes, he had 2 kids that I know of.
Okay, so let's go to how everything got into the court system and all of that. Let's get into that.
Okay. So January 1998, I was sitting at a table and it might have been 9-10 o'clock at night. I couldn't spell the word play. Like, as in you play with someone, I couldn't spell it. He was getting really mad. And he was just like, spell the word. You gonna spell this word. You gonna spell it. And I couldn't spell it. So then finally, he got upset. He grabbed me by my arm. He took me out the door. But before he did that, let me back up. My mom came out the room. And she was like, what's going on? And he was like, I got this. You need to go back in the bed. Da, 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 da. So he cussed her out. She went and laid back down. How could she have known what happened next was going to happen? She didn't. She went and laid back down as he told her to, because again, she was being abused. Right. So anyway, he dragged me by my arm out the door. He took me to his van. It seemed like he had it already set up. He had industrial sewing needles. He had I don't know if it was a rope. No, I think it was just duct tape. He duct taped my hands behind my back. He duct taped my ankles together, and he duct taped my mouth. We went on a ride. As we going on this ride, he's just constantly just talking, like laughing to himself and talking. He had lost his mind because a 7-year-old couldn't spell play. So we're riding, we listen to music, and that's like I said, childhood traumas is a real thing. As an adult, 3 main songs that he used to listen to, I listen to now.
Right.
Anita Baker, Body and Soul. That's one of my favorite songs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know why. 100 Ways. You listened to that one day on your TikTok. Mm-hmm. And it was another one. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but 3 main songs that this man listened to. And when I hear it, it triggers me, right. But not in a way of I can remember everything that happened that night, but it's not so much a bad thing when I hear those songs.
Right.
Calming for me. So anyways, Anita Baker was playing Body and Soul, and we just riding. We end up stopping somewhere. I don't know where we were parked. Next thing you know, my eyes get duct taped, and then I'm feeling puncture wounds, like being stabbed with the industrial sewing needles in my butt, in my head, my arms, my legs, my feet, the bottom of my feet, everywhere. I don't know how long it went on because my mind blocked out everything. I just remember him just constantly going like this everywhere, and laughing. He was laughing as he was doing it. Next thing I know, we pulled back up to the apartment. I knew we did because I heard the sliding van. This man had one of them old vans, the brown vans with the little yellow line in his birth. He had one of those vans with the sliding door. He opened the door. After he opened the door, he picked me up, but I think I was limp. My body was limp. I wasn't dead, of course, but I went limp. Somebody saw him out the window, And what ended up happening was I went inside the apartment. My mom came out. She was freaking out. She saw the blood everywhere. He put me in the tub. After he put me in the tub filled up with so much blood. He took me out the tub. He washed the tub. He took me in the room with my mom. And before my mom can make a plan for us to escape, because once she saw what was actually going on that morning, that night/that morning, she had our bags packed. She was going to pretend like I was going to school, like she was going to work, and we were going to get away. Boom, boom, boom. Police knocking at the door. I didn't know what was going on. Boom, 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 boom. Prince George's County. So I'm thinking in my head, am I being saved? What's going on? I'm 7 years old. I don't know what's going on. They come in. They ask to see me. I had on white long johns. I had the long shirt and the pants. Those long johns were filled with blood on the back, the butt part, bloody. Police officer took one look at me and he cried. He walked out. He couldn't do it no more. All I heard was glass breaking. They had this man in the kitchen trying to get his hands behind his back, and he broke a bunch of glasses trying to get away. They weren't going to let that man get away. My mom and I, we got in a squad car. We rode to the precinct. That was the last time I saw my mom for about 8 months.
So then let's go beyond that and let's get to court.
Okay, so once they locked him up, my mom and I, we were split up in different interrogation rooms. Of course, I was a kid. They couldn't interrogate me. They were trying to keep me calm and do whatever, distract me. Next thing I know, they took me to the hospital. I'm like, where's my mom? They're taking me to the hospital while my mom not riding with me. I had to learn how to walk, talk, and everything on my own again. So once they took me from the hospital, they took me to foster care. And that's when they told me my mom had been arrested. And that's how we ended up in court. We ended up in court because they wanted to know my side of the story. But the narrative that the lawyer was trying to paint was a 7-year-old girl can't testify because she's 7. She don't know what she's talking about. I helped the police officers find the stuff that he used to hurt me. I told them exactly where they were because he used to put them in the same place. This abuse happened in 1998, but it started in 1997. That man used to use them industrial sewing needles and stab me in my head. And then he would put them in the back seat. That little pouch that you have in your back seat behind him.
Yeah.
In the pouch. And I told them where to find them. The police came to me and they asked me. They said, where would the weapon be? And I'm like, weapon? They said, what did he use on you? Where is it? Right. And it in the back seat. They found it. That's how we ended up in court.
And so how long was your mom incarcerated?
I want to say maybe a year or less.
I don't know. I think this. Hold on a second. I don't know if my light too bright. No, I need it. Austin, and so you went into foster care?
Yes. I went in foster care for, I want to say 7 or 8 months. And then they allowed my aunt to get me.
Okay.
My mom.
Okay. And then your mom came home.
My mom came home months after my aunt got me. Because when I was in foster care, to be honest with you, the only person that pushed to see me the most, my aunt. Even though they kept saying my family couldn't see me, my aunt wasn't taking no for an answer. So then she started she'll ask them, hey, can I get Maisha? And they'll be like, no. Or they'll be like, yes. She'll be like, well, I just want to take her to Chuck E. Cheese, or I just want to take her to a baby shower. And they started letting her get me. But guess what? I was abused in foster care too.
Right. So let's talk about forgiving our parents, because you said something a little bit earlier that I think about, not as much as I used to, but I think about it when I hear stories like yours, and people confide in stuff in me, and it's about forgiving our parents. And you said something, and the question was, how would my mom know? And I always had the opposite question for my mom. How did she not know? Because I'm supposed to be her child, and so she should know every nuance of my behavior. She should know when things aren't right. She should know how much pain I was in for that length of time. So we had opposite questions, but I think we had opposite questions because we had different relationships with our mom. Mine never was my mom never was a hugging, I love you. My mom was food on the table, you have shelter, you got clean clothes, you good. And I do believe now, after writing the book and then just reflecting on the things we talked about before she died, that she had some kind of trauma that she had never dealt with. And so not dealing with her trauma, she had no idea how to deal with mine. She thought I lied. She told me I was a liar too when I finally told her. And her thing was, well, I washed your clothes. So it couldn't have been the way you said it was. And so yours was an abuse of physical abuse, of just someone who a sadomasochist. It's just somebody who likes to inflict pain on another person. Mine was of a sexual nature. And so, but it still had, both of them still have had long lasting effects on how we treat other people. And so it wasn't hard for you to forgive your mother, because it took me until she was on her dying bed to forgive mine. And so how was it living knowing that your mom was also a victim, and yet they treated her like she participated in that?
It was pretty hard. I mean, I felt like when after everything happened and I went to foster care, I felt like everybody was looking at me. Like, I felt like I had January's child written on my forehead. I never knew why they called me January's child until like later on I started looking up my own story, and I was like, okay, it happened in January. I see why they called me January's child. But it was more like, for me, it was more like the whole world was nurturing me back to health.
Right.
Because they sent letters, they sent gifts. I mean, it was an outpouring of love from all over the world.
Right.
Like, and I even remember the detective that took the case. It was Officer Raffato, and if I'm not mistaken, now he's in the church. He's I don't know if he's a pastor or what. He was a Caucasian, but I remember bits and pieces. But what I'll never forget is how I was treated by that man and how I was treated in foster care. So sometimes foster care is not the best.
Right.
Like, people step in and they, oh yeah, we're going to put you in foster care. We're going to do this. We're going to take your kids. Sometimes that's not always the best option. Sometimes at home is the safest option.
Right.
I wasn't allowed to eat in foster care. Like, I would go to bed hungry. They would put all the food up, and then they ended up getting 2 more kids who were Hispanic. And I was sexually abused by one of the older Hispanic kids in foster care. We would go on vacations. I wasn't allowed out the room. Everybody else was, but I wasn't. I sit in the room. Everybody going to go get food. They going to the pool. They going to go do this. They going to go do that. For some reason, I couldn't understand how me as a child, I'm already being punished by having everybody look at me differently because of what happened to me.
Right.
But then foster care and I can't have a life there either.
Right.
Like
Right.
I can't have no type of life in foster care. It was terrible.
So when it comes down to, and you know, I talk about this on TikTok all the time, and I talk about family secrets and how they lead to generational trauma. I had the guilt of not telling sooner is a thing with me still, because one of my abusers is still alive. His mother, who was my favorite aunt, is still alive. He's my cousin. And my book is not complete in the way I wrote it because I did not include all of what I went through. And so when we do that and we don't expose everybody worrying about how another person is going to feel, I think it's a disservice. And yet still, even while I'm talking to you now, I still can't see how I can do it and hurt her in that way. But it's weird because even in that, I'm unselfish. You understand? Even when I know that, because the problem with it, to me, is that because I don't say anything, or I didn't say it because I heard he's sick right now, is that if he did it to me, then there were others.
Yeah.
And that is the guilt that I live with. And that is why my admiration of you is so great. Because even though he was exposed at no, without you even knowing that he was going to be exposed, you did what you had to do, but you weren't the initial person to get it out there. Even with that, I admire you so much for being able to do what you did, because I feel like that I have failed young ladies who I know, because you got away with it for so long. There had to be more, and that's the guilt that I live with. And so that's on my side. What guilt do you think? What guilt, or if you don't have any, let me know what it is. If you don't have it, then you don't have it.
Yeah, I do. Because I feel like if I would have said something sooner, we could have gotten out sooner, and my mom would have never had that stain on her background. Because even though she was, basically, I don't know if she was acquitted or whatever, because like she told me some stories when she went behind bars. She had people that, would write her, and, they knew that she was innocent, like our church family and stuff. But it still was on her background. So I feel like if I would have been said something, we could have gotten help.
Yeah.
But at what cost? What if I would have said something, we would have gotten away, and he would have tracked us down and got both of us?
Or he would have met another woman with another daughter.
Yeah. Then
so
been as strong as me, and then he would have killed them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly believe that man was trying to break me and kill me.
Right.
But not like slowly. Like how when a person wants to poison you, they do it slowly. They don't do it like that and you die. You slowly die. So I felt like that was his whole motive. And he was so upset. But torture was his favorite thing. He loved torture. I don't know what happened to him as a kid. But I know he loved torture. But from what I understood, I used to be around his dad, and his dad was nothing like him. His dad was sweet. His dad was.
It doesn't always come from somebody that he knows. It could be like my mom. No, I don't think anybody knew whatever was going on with my mom, because I don't think anybody paid attention to it. They just thought my mama was my mama. But that just leads right into the next thing. Why do you think that a lot of adults do not accept the unease of their children around strangers? Like, why do you think? Because I'm talking to you now as a parent,
Mm-hmm.
not the child that's in you.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think a lot of parents do not accept the fact that their children can inherently just not like somebody, and not because of some big major reason?
Right. For me, I feel like I studied my children a lot when I had them. Like, I would look if they made a certain gesture, or if they didn't want to speak to you. I'm always constantly, even to this day, asking my kids. I have separate conversations with them. Is anybody making you uncomfortable? Is anybody doing something to you? I always want to know. And I feel like people don't accept it because they've probably been through some things themselves, and they wish that their parents would have been the parent they're trying to be. But
Right.
for me, I just feel like when my mom did talk to me, because it's not like my mom didn't have the conversations. She would have the conversations. Is everything okay? How are you feeling? What did y'all do today? Him and I acted as if we were the best of friends in front of my mom.
Right.
Behind closed doors, when she wasn't around, we were enemies.
Right.
Some days I could ride in the front and we just have a conversation. We listen to music and everything good. He was like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Right.
Whenever he
And as
got
a child, you don't know that. As a child, you don't know what a trigger is. And as a child, you want to be as good as you can around a person that hurts you. You want to be their best friend, because if you're their best friend, the behavior will stop. I get it. I totally get it.
Felt like it would. It didn't.
No, of course not. Of course not. Because those kind of people are determined to do what those kind of people are doing. So we just a little bit more, and then I'm gonna let you go, because I know you have your kids, and you have things to do. And it's just one more. So getting into an adult relationship,
Mm-hmm.
when we choose men that are similar to abusers, is
Mm-hmm.
that to punish ourselves because we should have known better? Is it to punish ourselves because we should have known better, and now this is what we're gonna get, this is what we deserve, this is the kind of man we're gonna get because whatever? Is it to be with someone like that to see if you can change them, because maybe I can stop him from doing this because I couldn't do it before?
Absolutely.
Or is it just to fill any void, and it doesn't matter who gets it, whoever feels it, they feel it?
Just think, if that would have never happened to you or I, just imagine what person we could have been with. And I look at it in my case, like,
or who we would have been, or how different we would have been.
That would have never happened to me. I feel like I had my children to have somebody to always love me.
So that's the void. Yeah.
No matter what,
Yeah.
I have somebody that's always gonna love me.
Yeah.
And I'm not always the perfect parent. I try to do things differently. I'm more the yelling, cussing parent. I don't really put hands unless I have to. But for the most part, I don't want them to ever feel the way I felt.
Right.
So I try to ask questions. And like I said, my mom did ask questions. But when she would ask, everything was fine. Even now, if I'm going through something, everything is fine. If I need something, I'm only reaching out to one person, and that's my aunt, the one that rescued me after I came out of foster care.
Yeah.
Anybody else, I'm not asking.
Yeah.
I'm not. I have my pride's too strong. But yeah, to answer your question, I feel like that what happened to me, if that would have never happened to me, I would have chose better.
Yeah.
I got older, and everything is, I got this. I'm strong. If I can take being tortured for 6 months straight as a kid, I can take being beat half to death by this man.
Right.
It's gotta be.
Right.
That man taught me lessons that he never knew he taught me.
Mm-hmm.
Once I got abused for not knowing how to spell, I'm an excellent speller.
Yeah.
And once I got abused for different things, I try not to do nothing that's going to get me hurt.
Right.
So I feel like in a way, kind of helped, but it didn't, because now I'm on edge with my own kids.
Right. And it's so funny to me that what you just said, that last part, is so close to my fiance's story, getting beat in the face with a belt buckle when he got math problems wrong. Now I can give him 4 or 5 numbers and click just like that. He's excellent at math. But being excellent at something born out of a trauma is not great either. Because even when you're not thinking about it, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I have to do this right, or this. And so you never really, in those things like that, they never really. So I really want to thank you for coming on and opening up. I want to commend you on being such a good mom. And I want to commend you for not letting that stop you from letting somebody else love you. I want to thank TNAV. I want to thank Sanchez. You really, really know people when they say they got your back. And I'm not saying the other people don't. I'm just saying, you know, people when they have your best interest at heart, when they follow you and come where you're at, just to make sure you're okay. I got tears in my eyes because this was a really triggering thing for me. But I wanted to do it anyway, because if I avoid it, it doesn't mean it's. People think, well, I got over that. I tell them, just because you learn how not to think that, just because you learn how to not bring that conversation up, just because you learn how to not talk about it out loud, it's still there. And I remind them, that's why you have, because why do you think you have stomach issues? Why do you think you have ulcer? Why do you think you have migraines? Why do you think you have, because your body is going to respond to that trauma, no matter whether you haven't really gotten over it. Just because you have learned how to put it in a little box and bury it, whatever. If you don't, so this basically, I just don't avoid it. I want to talk about it, and I want to not relive anything. But I think that the more you push that out, the more it can't build up on you and catch you off guard in the middle of Walmart. You feel me?
Yeah, that's what you need to do, though. You need to release yourself, free yourself from that mental prison that you live in. Like, you have to.
Exactly.
You're not ever going to heal, because you're going to always think, if a child is, say, not doing something that they normally do, are they being touched? If a child goes around a certain family member and they don't want to speak to that family member, are they being touched?
Right.
Like, oh, no problem. But yeah,
but I think, but it's even, like I said, me, you, and Anton, what you said, you're close. He was, the abuse he had was very close to what you dealt with. But this was from family members. And,
I've been by them too. I just didn't, take this platform for that, because they're living, they have children.
Yeah.
Do I want to, let that out? No, I've healed from that. The only thing that I couldn't heal from was being abused physically.
Right.
Abuse, that went out my head.
Right.
The physical abuse, it was like, why?
Right.
Like, why did you choose my mom? Why did you choose me? What about us said that we were strong?
And I say that, and I used to say that too. I used to say, I must have it. It must be a look or some smell that I give off But anyway, we're gonna have to go because we'll get into this, and I won't stop talking. So I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you opening up and sharing. This will not be the last. We will actually be back next Sunday together. We are. I guess this would be. We are in the prelims of discussing doing a podcast together on different things, not just this. And so I wanted everybody to know that that's what we're doing. And so it'll be Bobby and Mimi podcast, and hopefully it's going to work out. We're still working on some things, but I do want everybody to know that this particular podcast was brought to you by Uppity Negro Apparel. And you can find all of those things on my TikTok and also on my Bobby the Overtaker Facebook page. I really want to thank y'all. First of all, I want y'all to understand that old man that is coughing is my brother. He's over there trying to stay awake, and I don't know why, but he's fighting sleep, and it's probably because he wants to tell me something. But I thank y'all so much for joining and coming in to check on me. Like I said, it's certain people you can depend on that'll make sure that you're going to be okay. And I appreciate the two that came and checked on and make sure that me and you were going to be okay. Because this was I tried to keep it, and I'm sure you did, just try to keep it as light as possible. But the heaviness of it, oh my God.
You just gotta take trauma.
It really weighs on you.
Yeah,
the pain that you go through, but the pain that another person goes through, thinking of it as a gift, it's funny to me, but it's not. But being able to feel that, even through the phone or whatever, is hard. And it'll be and I'm learning still how to let things go. But this is, I hope that somebody got what they needed from this. I hope that somebody understands that you can survive. We were built to survive anything. We were built to persevere and be resilient. And even a broke rubber band, you tie it, it still stretch. It still do it. It just got a knot in it. And so even in our imperfections, we are all that and more. So I'm gonna let her have her final comments, and then we're gonna I'm gonna say my little last thing, and then we're gonna bid you adieu and let me get this good cry out while I wash my dishes.
Only thing I can really say is with your children, with your friends, family, anybody that you really care about, even if you don't have kids, push the issue, because you might have kids that out there that were like I was. I'm okay. Even if I kept telling myself I'm okay. I knew I wasn't okay, but always push the issue, because you never know. One day they might come out and actually say what's going on. You don't want to miss something, and you or somebody in your family of that child ends up behind bars when you could have pushed the issue and actually help the child and help the family member, and it might even be the family member that's doing the damage to the child. You never know. But listen, always listen to what they don't say, not to what they listen to what they're not saying. Just pay attention, and trauma can make or break you. It made me, it didn't break me. He didn't.
So and I want to jump on that too. Also understand that when you are looking out to make sure that your children okay, make sure your children are not the aggressor. Make sure that you also look out for the fact that your child might actually be the aggressor. Your child might also be somebody with a chemical imbalance or something, or they decided that they wanted to pull the wings off a fly. Listen, it ain't all the time that they're being. Sometimes your child might be the problem, and if you catch it before it gets out of hand, you won't have your child walking into school with a trench coat on. And so let's be diligent, not just with our children, but with our people, with our spouses, with everything. Let's be diligent in our lives and the people that are around us.
I love you too.
Because I promise you, he's not sending down no angels and none of the disciples to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's our job. But listen, just don't turn into a Karen or ghetto Betty. But be diligent, and love you, and love each other, and give people a chance. My God, people got a history. Nobody just walk into Walmart and start yelling at the cashier. What's wrong, boo? Because it got to be something.
Yeah.
You don't need you to yell back at them. So let me get off of here because y'all know I can talk and talk and talk, and I didn't want to run this on for more than 90 minutes.
And
go ahead, Mimi, talk. Tell us about what you got going on too. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I just wanted to say, if y'all wanted to actually look at the story in detail, then my name is Maisha Marshall, and it's going to be up under Girl 7 Tortured. Just in case y'all wanted to read all the details yourself without me actually saying it.
Right, y'all. Well,
you guys can add me on Facebook or whatever. I got some things that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to start with.
Give me your Facebook name because it's not the same.
Oh, can they see it if I put it in the chat?
Yes, ma'am. She's gonna put her Facebook name in the chat. So y'all go on Facebook and be her friend. Y'all make sure y'all follow her on TikTok. And yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot more of her. We were supposed to have another guest, but I think that the other night that trauma pushed her a little bit, and I'm going to get in touch with her. But I love y'all. Thank y'all for coming. And thank you, Mimi, for coming. Thank you for opening up and sharing. We're going to have a lot of more shows, but they'll be a little lighter than this one. So we're going to let Mimi go and deal with them children. I'm going to go and deal with my 59-year-old child over here. And I love y'all. And let's do this again. Let's do this again. And go ahead.
Aunt Bobby.
Huh?
Bay said you're his next wife. He likes how open and honest.
Oh, did you say that?
Bay.
Oh, tell Bay that he gonna have to fight that 5'11" dude, the light skinned one.
I'm trying to tell you. Listen. All right. I love y'all.
Honey, you have to you do not want to get into it with Mr. Anton Graham, honey.
We're gonna have this conversation on TikTok.
you ain't gonna you do not want to get, and you listen, you better keep the one you got, because the hell over here, you don't even want to dip your toe in this water, bro.
He read the book. He read your book. That's all he.
Oh, he read the book. Okay, we're gonna have to get him on here, and he can discuss. I'm serious. All jokes aside, we have to get him on here. I never and have a man's point of view. So maybe next week, when we get on, you just read a little bit or whatever. He doesn't have to come on if he doesn't want to. Maybe we can get Sanchez to come up. You don't have to show your face. You can just do your voice, and we'll talk about the book. Okay. And we'll talk about what a man thinks about what's written in there. Then I think that would be a good next show. So that's how I like it. So next week,
he said he finished it. He already ahead of me. He finished it.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about it. Mimi, I'll get in touch with you this week, and we'll see. We'll set that up. I would love to have a man's point of view about this book, because I have not had one. But let's go. Love you. Emma. I'll see you a little bit later on, baby. Thank y'all so much, and I appreciate y'all. We'll talk to y'all on next week Sunday on this platform, but I will be on TikTok. I might go on there for a little while tonight, just to give everybody an update. I might hop over there for just a few minutes after I wash dishes. So we'll see. Love y'all. We out of here.
All right.
God is good.
Amen.
All right. Talk to y'all later.
All right.